is now being fulfilled and seen. The Bible tells us that there would be a time such as there never was and never again to be equaled, that there would be earthquakes in various places. There even is the mention of a flood, since Jesus said that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. Jesus also tells us that there would be signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars, distress of nations. And so we have assembled a group this afternoon, qualified, knowledgeable men and women that could share with us from their study, research, from their particular scientific field as it relates to the climate and the weather that is taking place on our planet, and how we should, given the terrific earthquakes that we witnessed in Haiti, the earthquakes in Chile, the floods in Australia, Brazil, Europe, how we should prepare ourselves for more of what we know is to come. I am honored on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to welcome our guest panelists. If you would just give them a warm round of applause. They have come from near and far to share with us this afternoon. And it is my honor to at least acknowledge and recognize our guest panelists, and then turn this session over to the moderator of this session, who will be my assistant minister here at Mosque Mariam, Brother Jeffrey Muhammad. First, I will start to my right. This is Brother William Muhammad, who is a certified FEMA and Red Cross disaster training response. He is trained in response to disasters and is a team member in the state of Kentucky from Louisville. Let us welcome Brother William Muhammad. Next to Brother William is a sister that has gone all across the country and has gone into our cities and our various mosques to offer training in disaster preparedness and disaster management. And since the Millions More movement, she has been absolutely foremost in taking this training to the various cities, as she believes and knows that if we are not prepared, then we risk not only harm to ourselves, but the possibility of the loss of life, and she does not want to see that happen if she could help it. And she is trained in the International Red Cross and FEMA. I mean, her list of certification is too long to mention, but we know her as our sister. This is Sister Aurelia Muhammad. Next to her is a sister I'm blessed to know and have her right here in Chicago. She is also a United Way Response Unit member of Greater St. Louis and also has her certification in disaster preparedness, Sister Alva X. And the sister to her left and to my right has been a long, long time friend of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and she's very well known here in the Chicago community. She is the General Secretary of the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference. And she is also a pastor, and she is a spiritual teacher, and she has authored and developed a manual for faith-based communities, particularly the African American faith-based communities in disaster management and preparedness. Let us welcome again to Savior's Day, Dr. Iva Carruthers. Always a pleasure. To my far left is a well-qualified brother, and his list of certification and credentials is also too long to mention, but he is the president of the Community Action Response Emergency Unit 911 of Greater New York, and he has a lot of information to share with us today. We want to welcome Brother Rudolph Muhammad from New York City. We are especially grateful to the next two guest panelists who have accepted the invitation to come and to share with us their knowledge and from their research of climatology. First, to my left is Dr. Michael Baldwin. He is the assistant professor of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences from Purdue University. Let us welcome Dr. Baldwin. And next to him, coming to us from the College of DuPage, which is right here in Chicago, here in the state of Illinois. He's a professor of meteorology, and he also coordinates, from what I understand, or is the director of the Storm Chasers. Are you all familiar with Storm Chasers? You probably have seen his face on MSNBC and some of the news channels, and we are just delighted to have him as well. Let us welcome Dr. Paul Cervanka. Did I pronounce that right? Very good. And our final guest panelist, don't put your head down. He heads up our disaster preparedness committee here at Mos Mariam. Beautiful, beautiful brother, also certified and has his credentials, and I'm learning more and more of just how much knowledge is among us, and I'm delighted to have him, and we're honored to also have him as a guest panelist. This is Brother Liddell Muhammad. And now, let us get what we came here for. And I would like to ask my assistant minister to come before us, who will moderate this panel discussion. Please welcome Brother Jeffrey Muhammad. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, as we begin, let us just one more time show our gratitude for this panel for being here today. We're having a two-part discussion, as Minister Ishmael laid the spiritual base for extreme weather, and then the second part in how to prepare for the extreme weather. First, we've invited them to inform you as the leaders of the mosque and the study groups that you can take and build capacity in your cities with other leaders, and to take this knowledge back to your mosque, study group, cities, wherever you are, and begin to train and inform those that are in your cities that we don't make the same mistakes that we've been making before. Most of us were paralyzed a few weeks ago because of snow. And many of us have never been what we consider stuck for a couple of days. So we've invited our professors to come and give us an idea of how weather patterns start. Statistically, are these extreme weather patterns on the increase? Where are these extreme weather patterns greater at? Because we know what we've been taught. But scientifically, we want to know what is the rest of the world viewing. So these two professors have come, and they both have a PowerPoint presentation that they would like to present to us on the extreme weather patterns, not only in America, but some that are going around the world to demonstrate and inform us of what's going on. So brothers and sisters, with a big warm round of applause, please give our first presenter, Dr. Paul Servatka of the College of DuPage. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. It's my great privilege and honor to be here speaking before you. I'm going to start with my PowerPoint presentation, tell you a little bit about who I am. I lead the College of DuPage meteorology program, and we do have the largest storm chasing group, or the oldest storm chasing group in the world. I've been chasing for I think this is my 22nd year. So if we can go ahead and put the first couple slides up there. One of the things that I try to do is I do train people to spot the weather, to give people some understanding of what to do when we're out in the field, looking at the weather, coming in, what kind of things to expect so that you can serve your community. It really is about people taking the power themselves to know what is going to affect them, to relying on their own ability to understand the weather and then seek appropriate shelter. So go ahead and hit the next slide then. This a little bit about where we've chased. I've chased for over 350,000 miles. I've seen probably over 100 tornadoes. I sort of lost count after the first 10. And we've been doing this from Edmonton, Canada. We've actually even gone into Mexico one year. And we pretty much chase all over the central United States. Go ahead, the next picture. So, severe thunderstorms. One of the things that I want to really focus on today is what are the threats associated with severe thunderstorms. We know a lot about hail, hurricanes, floods, droughts that you've been hearing about so much in the world. Usually when there's a hurricane or a drought, we have some good lead time. You know something's coming, and it gives you some time to prepare ahead of time. And one of the things that a lot of people around the world are doing is trying to find ways to help people prepare for floods and droughts by thinking in advance what they need to do to prepare for this. But a severe thunderstorm can often strike very rapidly, within tens of minutes of time. And so having people very aware of what's happening is what we're trying to get across to you today. Next one, please. I want to just take a look at some basic thunderstorm ingredients so that we can all be a little bit more educated. The first one is we need lift, a way to get the air moving upwards in the atmosphere. And so here in the illustration is a picture of a cold front or a warm front, things you may see when watching your local TV weather forecast. And whenever you see these systems associated with areas of low pressure, it gives you the idea that maybe severe weather is possible. These fronts lift the air. The second ingredient, if we go to the next slide, would be the source of moisture. And that's why we usually turn toward the spring and summer, where we can start getting some moist air moving up from the Gulf of Mexico. For us in the central United States, that's our primary source of moisture. We use a term called the dew point, and I really recommend that that's what you listen to. When the dew point starts getting in the 50s, you start to go, oh, it kind of feels humid out. Dew point in the 60s, it feels really wet. Dew point in the 70s, we're all uncomfortable. But when we see the dew points going in the 60s and 70s, the threat for severe thunderstorms also increases. Next slide. And then we want something known as instability. Once we get the air to rise by forcing it up, it then decides it wants to rise by itself. The air is what we call buoyant. The fact that, like a hot air balloon, the air will rise by itself. So we lift the air with sufficient moisture, we get clouds forming. This picture here is kind of a beautiful picture of a thunderstorm, a cumulonimbus cloud, where the air is rising very rapidly, maybe as much as 10, 12, 14 miles in the atmosphere. Next slide. Something else we want to look for in developing severe weather is something known as vertical wind shear. As we go higher in the atmosphere, the winds usually change. And the greater that change, either in speed or direction, that allows for rotation to develop. And once we have rotation within a storm, the storm takes on a much higher threat for severe weather probabilities. This picture here is some of the numerical models that are run. I believe Mike Baldwin will be talking about that. And it generates how these thunderstorms behave. We start to learn something about how the wind blows. Not perfectly, but a little bit better. Next, please. Vertical wind shear in this diagram is showing you how it creates rotation within the updraft of a thunderstorm, and that thunderstorm is known as a supercell, which we'll talk about a little bit more here in the future. Next, please. So what are the thunderstorm types? Well, you've got thunderstorms that form in the afternoon, the typical what we'd call single cell or air mass thunderstorms. It's a hot summer day and you see some thunderstorms that pop up. It rains for 15 minutes, maybe a little gust of wind, a lot of lightning, and then it clears up. Those don't usually pose a lot of threat except for the lightning. When they get more organized with more and more vertical wind shear, then we get what's known as multi-cell storms. Storms that form in clusters or form in a squall line, a large line that could extend from Detroit all the way down past St. Louis to Little Rock, Arkansas. That would be a squall line. And the most organized thunderstorms with the highest amount of vertical wind shear is what we call a supercell. And a supercell, by its simple definition, is a storm with rotation in it. And they're going to pose the biggest threat. That picture there that you see is a supercell thunderstorm out in the Great Plains of the United States. Next. Convective hazards. So what are the things that these thunderstorms are going to pose as far as a threat for the people in our communities? And they're going to be, tornadoes are just one part of it. Large hail, and we're going to show you some amazing things that ice falling from the sky can do. We've got floods, flash floods. Water rises very quickly. In fact, flash floods actually kill more people annually than tornadoes and hurricanes. We also have lightning, which causes a lot of death and extreme injuries, very bizarre injuries, such as people losing the sensation of pain, getting headaches all the time, not being able to dream. A lot of weird things happen when somebody's hit by lightning. And then, of course, there are the tornadoes as well. Next slide, please. So let's take a look at lightning, just to give you some idea about how many millions of lightning strikes there are in the United States per year. That's lightning that actually strikes the ground. And you can take a look at a 30-year climatology of the fatalities, and you'll see that no state is immune to the potential threat of lightning. When I'm out storm chasing, I am most afraid of lightning. Everything else gives me a few minutes of warning, and lightning can happen instantly, and it's extremely scary. I've also learned that people aren't usually as afraid of lightning as they are of thunder. So we'll see lightning hit really close, and people will kind of react, and then thunder will crash, and they'll all scream and run away. By then, it's too late. Next, please. Here's a graph that it poses where the heaviest amount of lightning threats are in the United States. Because of the close proximity to the Gulf of Mexico, we see that the Gulf Coast has a high frequency of lightning fatalities. We also have areas up within the mountains and on the East Coast where the population centers are the highest. Michigan actually has a lot. Texas, Oklahoma, in the Colorado mountains. The further west you go, a little bit less threat with lightning, and that's why you can deal with earthquakes a little bit more. Not as much lightning, you worry about earthquakes. But you can see nobody is immune to these kind of dangers, and it's really important that if you are involved with your children in doing outdoor activities during a thunderstorm, maybe it's baseball games or football games, if there's a thunderstorm nearby, have the kids seek shelter. Don't just let them stop playing. Get them off the field. They have what's known as a 30-30 rule. Wait 30 minutes, and if you hear thunder within 30 seconds of the lightning, you should be seeking shelter. So once you hear thunder, get indoors, wait 30 minutes till your last thunderclap, and then you'll be safe. Next, please. Here's an example. I mean, that's a pretty cool picture of a lightning strike hitting a tree. Very serious events. A lot of people get burns on their body, so you want to stay indoors. You want to stay away from windows. You want to stay away from corded telephones, if that's possible. The best place to be is inside, or to be in your vehicle. Not because your vehicle is rubber tires, but because it acts as a conduit for the electricity to go into the ground. We've actually been hit by lightning on one of our storm chases, blew out 2 tires, but everybody inside was fine. Next, please. Severe thunderstorms. Let's define this. Severe thunderstorms to a meteorologist means one of three things. It has the ability to produce a tornado. It has the ability to produce large hail, which is about 1 inch in diameter. And it has the ability to produce damaging winds greater than 58 miles an hour. The weather people on TV or the radio often will use severe when it's not really meant to be that way. So if you want, call it a strong thunderstorm, call it scary, but don't call it severe unless it's got really big hail, okay? Next, please. Flash floods. Here's a little word that you need to know. Turn around, don't drown. Many people drive into flash flooded areas thinking their car could make it through. Never try to cross water, especially moving water, unless you know somebody else has gone before you. It's a good way to go through life as well, isn't it? Water is extremely buoyant. It can flip, 2 feet of water can flip a car completely over, and people can be trapped in the car and drown within 2 or 3 feet of water. So it's very dangerous. Turn around, don't drown. Next, please. So here again is the severe criteria. Large hail gives you some idea of how big it is, 1 inch in diameter. That's about the size of a penny. Damaging winds. Once you start getting winds over 58 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, it can knock parts of trees down, pull off shingling from roofs. Start getting winds up in the 70 mile per hour, which is hurricane force, can do some serious damage. I've seen strong thunderstorm winds where the winds are 110 to 120 miles per hour, which can knock down outer walls of houses, knock down trees, people getting caught outside by these strong winds and suffer injury. Next, please. Here's an example of just straight line winds knocking a tree down on a house. So if you have a severe thunderstorm warning, you need to take shelter because it is extremely dangerous, even without a tornado. Next, please. Here's an example of an event. It's called a derecho. It's kind of a fun word. Tornado is actually a Spanish word meaning to turn or to twist. And in the 1880s, people were afraid to go to Iowa because of the amount of tornadoes there. And one of the scientists said, no, they're not tornadoes, they're straight line winds. So he called them straight aheads, or derechos, which is the Spanish for straight ahead. But you can see in this example, several $100 million of damage in one overnight storm, and several people died from this event. All those little marks on the map are damage reports. Next, please. Hail is another $1 billion of property damage a year and $1 billion more in crop damage. And this gives you some idea of what hail can do. There's a windshield. We've seen hail 4, 5, 6 inches in diameter, falling at about 100 miles an hour. That would be like a J.R. Richards fastball or faster coming at your head. Not a good place to be out there. Next, please. Here's an example. For those of you who might have Saturn cars, think that you're immune from hailstones. That's a Saturn. You don't want to be in that car during a major hailstorm. Next, please. Some ideas if you want to know the words that go along with hail sizes. Most common ones are quarter size or golf ball or softball. I don't know what a walnut or a hen egg sized hail. I don't know if people do that, but that's what they have for there. So if you start seeing softball or grapefruit size hail, that's pretty scary. Next, please. Here's an example of the threats for hail on the left side and tornadoes on the right side. And it just loops it through the entire year. So you can see early on in the year it starts out south. As the season gets warmer, the threat moves further to the north. If you look here in Chicago, you will see that our threat for severe weather, both hail and tornadoes, lasts from about March all the way through October. So we're just about entering the severe weather season here in the United States. Next, please. Now, tornado threats. Obviously, this is the one that can do the most devastating, incredible damage in a very short amount of time. And I've got some video I'd like to show you of some damage. It's all based on the enhanced Fujita scale, which goes from EF0 to EF5. You have weak tornadoes, you have strong tornadoes, and you have violent tornadoes. As it turns out, most houses are going to be okay with the weakest tornado. So go ahead and next slide, please. Whoops. Next one. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I wanted to show this one too. In addition to that alley, I wanted to point this out. This is what we know as Dixie Alley. It's a thread of tornadoes going on in the South United States. And I think this is really important for people to understand the threat that exists down in the South. Number one, the population is growing.